Let's talk about Matt Gaetz. Yes, Congressman from Florida, Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, who should be in jail for messing around with little girls. Yeah, let's talk about him. Matt Gaetz has entered a resolution to censure Judge Chutkin and open an investigation into her. Let me remind you, Judge Chutkin is the judge overseeing Donald Trump's case with Jack Smith. Yes, the same Matt Gaetz who went to Donald Trump seeking a blanket pardon because of his criminal activity towards January 6th and with that little girl, right? He has the unmitigated gall to open an investigation into Judge Chutkin and want to censure her because of how she's treating Donald Trump. In addition to her harsh treatment towards Donald Trump, he also cites her harsh punishments towards January 6 rioters that have come before her court, and she's given them heavy sentences. He also cites a donation that Judge Chutkin made to President Obama's campaign. But let me remind you, Matt Gaetz has made donations to Lauren Boebert's campaign, to Marjorie Taylor Greene's campaign, and I'm sure he's made donations to Donald Trump's campaign because, he has to kiss Donald Trump's butt in order to stay in Donald Trump's favor. He states that Judge Chutkin displays an open bias against Donald Trump, just as he displays an open bias against President Biden. If you want to read the article in regards to this is the article where I got it from. Y'all know I like to show you guys my sources, but also I was able to find Matt Gaetz, his resolution in trying to get Judge Chutkin censored. I'm going to read it. Here we go. So I've got Matt Gaetz's resolution here. You're not going to be able to see it, but I'll put it up here on the screen. I'm going to read it. It's only 3 pages long. It's not that long, really. In the House of Representatives, Mr. Gaetz submitted the following resolution, which was referred to the committee on, supposed to be a date. There's no date here, but he did this on Friday past. Resolution censuring and condemning United States District Court Judge Tanya Chutkin. Whereas United States District Court Judge Tanya Chutkin has exhibited open bias and partisanship in the conduct of her official duties as a judge for the United States District Court for the District of Columbia. Whereas, for example, in a sentencing related to January 6 on October 4th, 2021, Chutkin issued a bizarre rant opining that people gathered all over the country last year to protest the violent murder by the police of an unarmed black man, to compare the actions of people protesting most peacefully for civil rights to those of a violent mob seeking to overthrow the lawfully elected government in a false equivalency, and ignores a very real danger that the January 6th riot posed to the foundation of our democracy. So basically what Judge Chutkin did, what people are doing, you've seen them do it out there on social media. They're trying to compare the riots that ensued after the murder of George Floyd to the January 6th riots. And basically what she said is that it's a false equivalency. I believe the January 6th rioter that was in her court, his attorney tried to, make them the same, put them on the same level when they are not. One is fighting for civil rights. One is fighting because an unarmed black man was murdered in front of our eyes. Whereas these people armed themselves, went to the Capitol, barged into the Capitol to stop a legal proceeding, destroyed the Capitol, defecated all over the walls, stole equipment, stole files. There is no equivalency. Moving on. Whereas the violent protests of 2020 resulted in numerous injuries to law enforcement, including the firebombing of police vehicles, resulted in serious injuries to law enforcement, first responders, civilians, and property, and resulted in felony convictions and debarments of rioters from practicing law. Didn't a report come out that proved that it wasn't the Black Lives Matter protesters who was responsible for all of that destruction? That it was white people, racist people, boogaloo boys, proud boys, dressed up as Black Lives Matter protesters? You know, they were covered from head to toe, so they really couldn't be seen, right? But they were caught, they were arrested, and the FBI and police, local police, got down to the truth of the matter. He don't want to talk about that. Whereas Judge Chutkin expressed support for the violent protests in the summer of 2020, is conduct unbecoming a judge. Did she express support, or did she say there was a false equivalency? Saying that there was a false equivalency doesn't mean she supported. It doesn't mean that. Whereas the defendant before Judge Chutkin on October 4, 2021 was a nonviolent offender who spent merely 12 minutes on Capitol ground. He shouldn't have been there. He should not have been there at all. He shouldn't have been there. And who urged others to remain peaceful on January 6th. Whereas Judge Chutkin's comments raised serious concerns about the fairness and constitutionality of the sentencing of that defendant or other defendants in cases relating to January 6th. Now, the sentencing. The prosecution of that January 6th rioter was asking for 30 days. 30 days in jail. Okay? 30 days in jail. And then I think it was another 60 days with home monitoring. Judge Chutkin took it up to 45 days in jail. And I think she took it to 90 days home monitoring. This is what he's bitching about. Whereas Chutkin donated thousands of dollars to elect Barack Obama, I did some research. It was $1,500 that she donated to President Obama's campaign. Somebody asked Matt Gaetz how much did he donate to Marjorie Taylor Greene? How much did he donate to Lauren Boebert? How much did he donate to Donald Trump? How much did he give to that underage little girl? Whereas in a more recent sentencing hearing in October 2022, Chutkin lamented that Donald Trump remains free to this day. He is free. He is free. Whereas somebody else, people that look like me, would not be free. If it was President Obama, he would not have been free. He would be behind bars. That's a fact. Whereas such partisan commentary by Judge Chutkin has been ongoing and calls into question her fitness as a judge. Whereas Chutkin's comments and activities on and off the bench violate all 5 canons of the Code of Conduct for United States judges, namely calling into question the integrity and independence of the judiciary, presenting impropriety and the appearance of impropriety, failing to perform the duties of the office fairly. He wants to talk about perform the duties of the office fairly. He ain't got nothing to say about Judge Eileen Cannon though, right? Why? Because she's actually violating the code of conduct, right? But he ain't got nothing to say about that. The big people over in the circuit court 13 or 11, they have to get on Judge Eileen Cannon. He ain't got nothing to say. He ain't got no resolutions for Judge Eileen Cannon. Failing to perform the duties of the office fairly, impartially, partially, and diligently, engaging in extrajudicial activities inconsistent with the obligations of the office, and engaging in a political activity. Now therefore be it resolved that United States District Court Judge Tanya Chutkin be censured and condemned, and 2, the Committee on the Judiciary of the House of Representatives shall forthwith initiate an investigation into Tanya Chutkin for the purpose of gathering evidence relevant to the duties of Congress under Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution of the United States. Listen, for this to be a thing, all of the House of Representatives, well, you know, there has to be a majority of the House of Representatives, and the Republicans have that. So they probably will all vote for this. But then it has to go through the Senate, and 2/3 of the Senate have to vote for this, and they won't. And he knows it. All of this is just, you know, entertainment. This is fodder for the MAGA crowd. Y'all get down in the comments. Y'all let me know your thoughts. I'm sick of Matt Gaetz. This is the same Matt Gaetz who was just at that Iowa picnic calling for violence. He basically said that in order to get things done in a corrupt Washington, they have to do things by force. This is the same Matt Gaetz that went to Donald Trump to ask for a blanket pardon. And all of this, if you ask me, is him still working towards getting that blanket pardon. You cannot tell me that Donald Trump didn't promise him, you work hard for me, you do right by me. When I get back into office, I will make sure you have that pardon. Again, y'all let me know your thoughts. I'll see y'all later.